The youth want to talk to the trusted adults in their lives about the issues they are facing, even if these are awkward or difficult topics. I realized this several years ago when I taught the 15-year-old Sunday school class. I had a great group of kids who were very respectful, and they participated when I asked them questions. The problem I had with the class was I had a hard time getting them excited and engaged in the lesson. There was one lesson that I taught that they became very engaged in and very excited and had a great discussion. Ironically, this was the lesson on the law of chastity. It began the way these lessons usually do, with all of the kids staring at the floor and awkwardly shuffling their feet. I told them about the law of chastity, the reasons for it, and why they should live it. And then I switched modes in the class and began a discussion. They all know about the law of chastity and what they're not supposed to do, but what they want to know is what is okay and what is appropriate and where is that line. And so as we opened this up to a discussion, the youth became very engaged and excited about this topic, so much so that when the class was done, they didn't even want to leave. And so I can see that the youth do want to talk to their church leaders and their parents about the issues they face. And there are many difficult, challenging, and confusing issues that the youth face today. One of these issues is, what is the big deal about pornography? The big deal about pornography is the damaging effects of pornography. It damages the brain, it damages the family, and it damages society. It damages the brain in the same way that drugs do. It's very much like a drug. The same chemical reactions occur in the brain when taking meth and cocaine as in when viewing pornography. Excessive amounts of dopamine flood the brain. The only difference between the hard drugs and viewing pornography and the reaction that happens in the brain is that in viewing pornography, these are much more powerful reactions. It's like a chemical bomb goes off in the brain. And in the brains of teens, studies have shown that the reward pathways, which is what causes the dopamine to be released, are 2 to 4 times more powerful than those in adult brains, which means that teens' brains are having much more dopamine flooding their brains. And like with meth and cocaine, viewing pornography is addicting. In the brain, when all of this dopamine hits the brain and it floods it, the brain tries to get back to normal levels. So it will shrink the dopamine receptors so that so much dopamine is not going into the brain. The individual will then need more and more dopamine to be released to reach levels to where they feel normal. They will begin to crave more and more pornography. Dallin H. Oakes said, "It impairs decision-making capacities and it hooks its users, drawing them back obsessively for more and more." A man who had been addicted to pornography and to hard drugs wrote this comparison. "In my eyes, cocaine doesn't hold a candle to this. I have done both. Quitting even the hardest drugs was nothing compared to trying to quit pornography." Pornography physically changes the brain. The neural pathways in the brain are rewired and new connections are made. On fightthenewdrug.org, they explained it this way: neurons that fire together wire together. They've also seen in studies that in those who are addicted, drug addicts, and those who are addicted to pornography, that the frontal lobes of the brain actually shrink. Pornography is damaging to the family. Those who are viewing pornography have difficulty in forming meaningful relationships with real people. M.A. Layden, in a paper entitled "Pornography and Violence" in a journal on the social problems of pornography, stated, "Healthy relationships are built on equality, honesty, respect, and love. In porn, it is the reverse. Interactions are based on domination, disrespect, abuse, violence, and detachment. Viewing pornography results in the loss of the spirit." Elder Dallin H. Oakes said, "When we worthily partake of the sacrament, we are promised that we will always have His Spirit to be with us. To qualify for that promise, we covenant that we will always remember Him. Those who seek out and use pornography for sexual stimulation obviously violate that covenant. They also violate a sacred covenant to refrain from unholy and impure practices. They cannot have the Spirit of the Lord to be with them." Pornography damages society. Viewing pornography leads to objectifying women. It also promotes violence towards women. And as women see these websites and see the abuse and violence in the relationships, they begin to believe that this is normal and that it is okay for abuse and violence to take place in relationships. Two of the side effects in individuals viewing pornography is that there is a lower material success in life, and that there's a change in beliefs in the individual. And these are both damaging to society. Now that you know how pornography affects the damaging effects it has on the brain, the family, and society, you need to become involved. You need to get educated and you need to talk to your children. 80% of first-time exposures to pornography are in the home between the ages of 4 and 11. Pornography loses its allure when it's talked about openly. It thrives in secrecy. Two great websites that you can go to learn more about the effects of pornography and how to talk to your children about them are the church's website, overcomingpornography.org, and they also have a manual, a parent's guide, to talk to your children about healthy sexual relationships. And then the other website is fightthenewdrug.org. They have a lot of articles on the damaging effects of pornography on the brain and family and society. And if you click on the references in each of these articles, you can find more references that will lead you to other articles and journals and websites so that you can learn even more. If you're addicted to pornography, you need to get help. You can't overcome this alone. The only way it can be overcome is through the repentance process and through the atonement. How many days does it take to overcome an addiction? It takes 2 years. We all need to get involved and warn others about the damaging effects of pornography.